Hey everyone, this is Akshat for MMM's final assignment. Um, I'm just gonna be really talking, and in between, there's gonna be some photos of my progress and everything that's really happened this year. To start off with, this class has been very instrumental in the way that I've changed my lifestyle, but also in terms of what I want to prioritize. And it didn't start this spring actually; it started in the fall when I took Info 98, which was the precursor to this class and more so of a decal taught by Dawson and his friends. I think it was great because I took this decal with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and at the time we were heavily recruiting for investment banking and all sorts of other roles within finance and tech, and so there was a really big stigma about where to place and how we're going to get these internships and things like that. We also joined a business organization, so it was pretty cutthroat. And so all of these stress factors kind of bundled up alongside taking courses and balancing other priorities, other student organizations, things like that. So when I joined Info 98, at first I thought the class was very bogus, and I always thought to myself that what's being talked about here, like clearly I need my phone. This is something that I'm always going to need no matter what. But towards the end, um, you know, it was still fall, and majority of things hadn't changed, but I still started to adapt newer mechanisms of how it would, change my lifestyle. One being that whatever happens is for the best, and this is actually something that was brought up in the decal, and oftentimes it was, often the reason it was brought up is because oftentimes we like to really kind of capture every single moment with our digital devices, both socially and professionally. And sometimes, we're not able to make that happen, and that's what ends up disappointing us. But there's a reason why, and that's why I firmly believe that sometimes things happen for the best. So that decal was great. I actually ended up making a lot of friends. We played games. We always recorded our progress within there. And in terms of just like understanding where I wanted to go next, this was the inflection point where it was January, right after decal ended, winter break, peak recruiting season. The way finance recruiting works is that you do 1.5 to 2 years beforehand. So this is kind of like your only shot if you want to do that role specifically within finance. So the stress was definitely there, and I was probably extensively staring at my screen in winter break, trying to study as much as I could, about 8 hours a day. Clearly did an effect, and come after that, like until mid February, it lasted. It was probably the most stressful time so far of my life, and it sounds a little bit dramatic, but uh, just being surrounded by like 40 other people who are as determined for the same fact really puts you in a situation where like nothing else matters. Um, Now this is where it gets this is the part that I love to talk about. Once it was all over, uh, I was fully able to come into Cogsci 175's curriculum and really embrace myself for what's really truly important out there. And so that involves making memories, keeping those lifelong relationships, and really trying to just maximize every event you can within your life. I've seen it firsthand that a lot of my friends tend to just, including myself, tend to really just prioritize screen comfort over going outside and really making those memories. But that is something that I'm very much strictly against now. And no matter what day it is, even if I have the final the next day, I want to make a memory. I want to, make something that I'll always remember, especially in the last few days of this year. And especially because I'm going to be halfway done with college now. It's just crazy to think about. Um, so I think I've heavily changed in that manner where, instead of just only focusing on one aspect, I've started to really understand how important memories and relationships and everything else it truly is, how important they truly are. Regarding the questions, um, why did I end up picking this course? It's for a multitude of reasons. And one being that I knew that I had to fix this problem of being hyper focused on one thing, being tenacious on one thing, but also because I also like had heavy screen times of about 10 to 11 hours, which has dramatically reduced to only about 5 hours a day, which I very much respect for myself. And I want to continue keeping that trajectory and continue keeping on going. But I think I'm just, really trying to remember what other points, but I think that's, really pretty much all of it. I wanted to, wrap it up as meaningfully as I could. I've learned a ton in this class. I think I chose this way of reflection because I felt like it would be the most meaningful coming from me, directly. The great thing is as well is that I've made some really good friends within this class as well, through the activities we've done, and I've existing friends. Our friendships have gotten stronger because of this class as well. So I think that's amazing. I will say as well, just like from Dawson and those guys from Info 98, decal, along with this class, has motivated me to want to teach a decal myself, and that involves the decal that I'm trying to teach is about different trends going on within technology and social and technology, social life and technology intersecting, and so I'm going to be teaching that with two other friends. One actually is also in this class, Mason Arditi, and it's going to be a blast. I can't wait. I can't wait. But overall, in summary, thank you so much for everything. Learned so much, made so many more new relationships, and it was great. And I hope to take more classes like this in the future at Cal. Go Bears! Yeah, and I forgot to add one point about how consistently I practiced. It was on and off. I think until mid-February, I really didn't practice, and then as soon as things were kind of done in terms of like career trajectories and all of that, for my year, I really started to embrace the curriculum, and so that involved keeping a spreadsheet of my screen times on the weekly basis, and then on top of that, downloaded apps like ClearSpace, which have logs of like all of my progress and how I improved, as well as different healthcare apps that I'm trying to use to for the gym, as well as how many steps I'm getting, and then honestly, if you just look at my camera roll, like there's a dramatic difference in color when you zoom out from black and white to just a lot more colorful, right? Just from the different events going out, just from just going being a part of so many different memories, and so I'm glad. I'm really glad, and I hope to keep that going.